The dead don't stay buried. As the sun set, she texted a photo of the grave to a blocked number, the same one that had threatened her months ago. Attached was a single sentence. Clara brushed dirt from the tag. But he'd love knowing we didn't stop. Liam would have hated this, he said quietly. The spotlight, the politics. In a dusty Syrian village, Clara knelt beside a freshly unearthed grave, a dog tag clutched in her raw hands. Jack stood guard nearby, his face now older than his 19 years. The CNN headline screamed, "Whistleblower soldiers expose Pentagon cover-up." Epilogue, 6 months later, Clara met his glare. "I'm playing mother." "And what then?" Jack snapped. "You'll dig up bones with your bare hands, play hero?" "They're erasing the evidence, the mass graves, the witnesses, Liam's proof." Jax froze. "You're insane." Clara didn't answer. She spread the dog tags across the bed, Liam's coordinates swirling in her mind. "We need to go to Syria." Jax emerged from the shower, towel around his waist, fresh stitches crisscrossing his ribs. Who was that? The line went dead. The safe house reeked of mildew and regret. Clara stared at the burner phone buzzing on the motel desk, an unknown number. When she answered, a gravelly voice hissed, "You think you've won? The dog tags are worthless without the bodies." 3 days later, but hope she'd learned was a fragile thing. As the call connected, she glanced back at the smoke rising from her house. Somewhere in the chaos, a boy with Liam's eyes was buying her time. And for the first time since the rain began, Clara let herself hope. Clara dialed 911, her voice steady for the first time in months. "I have names, and I'm not alone." It was in the graves. The truth wasn't in the files. She ran through the woods, Liam's journal clutched to her chest as gunshots echoed behind her. At the river's edge, she froze. There, buried beneath a scarred oak tree, was Liam's final secret. A steel box containing dog tags from soldiers in his unit, each tagged with a date and coordinates. So did Liam. His eyes burned. "I owe him this. Now run." "You'll die?" Jax pressed a hunting knife into her hand. At the back door, "Go. I'll hold them off." They uploaded the files at dawn, leaking them to every news outlet, veteran forum, and senator's inbox. By noon, #JusticeForLiam was trending. By nightfall, black SUVs circled Clara's house. Clara stared at the thumb drive. Liam didn't die for revenge. He died for the truth. "He deserved worse," Jax snarled. What happened next blurred. A shouted threat, a gun drawn, Jax tackling Voss as Clara sprinted to the car with the evidence. They fled as sirens wailed, Jax's knuckles bleeding on the steering wheel. Voss's smile died. Clara's rage faltered, but Jax stepped forward, Liam's journal in hand. "Your daughter's cute. Would have been a shame if someone mistook her school bus for a target. Can I help you?" Voss smiled, a toddler clinging to his leg. By sundown, they'd tracked down the first name on Liam's list, Colonel Marcus Voss. His mansion loomed at the edge of the town, Christmas lights twinkling like a sick joke. Clara's hands shook as she rang the bell. Clara slammed the locker shut. "Then we don't go public. We go to them." "This isn't just about one cover-up," he whispered. "It's a damn system. They'll bury this. Bury us if we go public." The next morning, they drove to the Greyhound station. Locker #227 held a thumb drive and a journal. Liam's handwriting filled every page. Dates, coordinates, names of officers who'd ordered unauthorized strikes. Jax's face paled as he flipped through it. Clara's knees buckled. The world blurred. found out the truth? Jax's voice turned icy. He pulled a photo from his backpack. Liam, bloodied and defiant, standing over a civilian truck riddled with bullet holes. They called it friendly fire. Bullshit. Liam recorded everything. That's why they silenced him. Clara's throat tightened. We did. Before he enlisted. Before he talked about you all the time, Jax muttered. Said you built this together after your husband split. She didn't. But the boy's hollow stare mirrored her own grief, so she let him stay. That night, as thunder shook the house, Clara found Jax in Liam's room, tracing his fingers over the model airplane. Clara's hands trembled. Jax shifted awkwardly, rainwater pooling at his combat boots. He said you'd know what it means. Liam, if you're reading this, I'm sorry. The key opens locker hash 227 at the Greyhound station. Don't go alone. Mom, he thrust a crumpled envelope into her hands. The paper smelled like gunpowder and sand. Inside was a key and a note. Mrs. Morgan? He said, voice cracking. I'm Jax, your son, Liam. He saved my life in Kandahar. Told me to give you this, if he didn't make it back. The doorbell rang. Clara didn't move. It rang again, sharper, urgent, until she finally dragged herself to the door. A teenager stood there, drenched and shivering, clutching a waterlogged backpack. His eyes were the same haunted green as her son's, but his face was a battlefield. A scar split his left eyebrow, and fresh bruises bloomed along his jawline. The rain hadn't stopped for 7 days. Clara Morgan counted each one as she stared at the cracks in her kitchen ceiling, the rhythmic drip, drip, drip of water hitting the bucket beneath her feet, a cruel mockery of time. Her son's empty chair sat across the table, a half-finished model airplane still glued to its seat. A Boeing P-26 pea shooter, Liam's favorite. He'd been assembling it the morning he left for his third deployment, his 21-year-old hands steady, despite the tremor in his voice, when he said, "Finish it with me when I get back." Yeah,